Wow, boys and girls, it is day 5 already of Science in the Kitchen cooking camp, and I can't tell you how glad I am that you've joined us. I hope your recipes have turned out as tasty as mine have. I've been having so much fun. Can we give a huge thank you to Chef Giuliano and Katie? I think I heard you through the camera. Well, thank you, Chef Giuliano and Katie. We have loved learning from you this week. So now, what do we need to do? That's right, we need to take time to worship if you haven't done that before you started this video, and then we'll grab our supplies. So worship reminders on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Number 1, worship God with our whole heart. We're gonna enter his presence with joy and thanksgiving, and we are created to worship. Amazing. Take some time and worship together as a family again today, and then grab all your supplies. Your notebook and your pen, your workbook, your apron, measuring cups, any ingredients from your box, and you also need that patterned bag. So grab all your items and join me right back here when you're done. And don't forget, join us Monday, August the 23rd between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Zoom for a virtual pizza party. Again, games, prizes, learning how to cook your own pizza for your family. Why not turn it into a movie night together as a family where you do all the cooking and cleaning? Mom and Dad will be so impressed if you can cook, and even better, if you clean up after yourselves. Well, let's check in with Chef Giuliano and Katie to see what they have for us today, our last day of cooking camp. Bye, boys and girls. We'll see you soon.
Hey, little kids, guess what? Guess what day it is? Does anyone know? Do you know, Mr. Giuliano? What day?
Day 5!
It's day 5! Which is exciting, but it's also kind of sad because it means it's our last day. But at the same time, we get to eat bread today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's been such a great week to just be with you guys and just learn together of what it means to nourish our relationship and growth with God. And also to kind of see that in a way with bread so that we can remember even more.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. It's been so great. And thank you so much, Mr. Giuliano, for just teaching us so much so that we can make bread every day if we want.
Science.
I know I'm gonna, because science chefing is pretty cool. All right, so we've made, what have we made this week for a little recap?
We've done some feeds on our sourdough starters.
Yes.
We've done build on our sourdough. We've made compound butter. We've made
True.
jam, and we've made hummus, some delicious, tasty toppings for our breads.
It's true, and they've all been waiting for us in the fridge
All ready to go.
to eat. I'm so excited for that. So let's just get down to business, shall we?
So today on day 5, we're going to be baking our bread. Your bread would have had a nice long nap in the fridge overnight, and it should be ready to go for today. So we're just going to get it out, and we've preset our oven as hot as it can go. So if your oven goes to 500 degrees, turn it right up to 500 degrees. 475 is good, but you want to get it really, really hot, and you want to get a large pot with a lid and get it in the oven warming up, because we're going to be putting the bread right into that hot pot. Now this is going to be a job for the parents or the adults or the supervisors, because the oven can get very, very hot.
And you don't want to burn your hands or your tongue or your eyeball or anything, right?
True. But kids, you can definitely give a hand getting the bread out of the basket and passing it over to your parents, and you can watch that bread rise as it's in the oven. So we're going to start with taking our bread from yesterday, and it should have had a nice sleep in the basket.
Wow.
Feel nice and
Looks well rested.
nice and spongy. And we're just going to take a cutting board or a flat surface,
No,
and we're going
Mr.
to. My assistant wants to eat the flour. We're going to dust it with flour. So you can use, like I said, a cutting board, anything that's flat, piece of cardboard, something like that. You just want to be able to pick the bread up off the table. And take the bread and turn it right out. We're gonna remove the basket, and then we're gonna pull the fabric off, and we've got our lovely loaf of bread.
Tell our assistants, our animal assistants, that this isn't maybe for them to eat. And then we have our shaped bread.
Yes. We got a nice round piece of bread here, and we are going to score it. So once again,
What does scoring mean?
so we need to cut it to open it up so it can rise in the oven. It's gonna be scored on the top so it can go boop and open right up in the oven.
Like a flower in the springtime.
Kind of like a flower in springtime. So once again, you're going to want your parents' help, and you're going to want to get a sharp knife. Sharpest knife you got. And parents are going to just give this 3 deep cuts inside. You don't want to cut all the way through, but you want to cut fairly deep in so it has a chance to open the bread right up. You're going to take it and you want to go relatively quick and just draw your knife right through the bread. And you're going to go again in the middle. And it's okay if there's some drag marks, that's fine.
Like some wrinkles.
Some wrinkles, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think, Mr. Boo Radley? Does that look okay? Yeah, he says it does.
So, once you've scored it, it should look something a little like that.
Like that. So we got the 3 cuts.
And then, we're going to be loading it into the oven.
Oh!
So, we're going to take this over there to the oven, and we'll show you what the next step is.
All right.
Hi kids and parents. So we're now at the oven station of the science kitchen, and we're going to be pulling out our hot pot. So you want to get yourself a pair of oven mitts or a pair of rags or a pair of, we have these lovely pot holders that are going to work for us today. And you're going to take your hot pot out of the oven, place it up on the stove, take the lid off. You want to move relatively quickly so it doesn't cool down. This pot is very hot, so be careful. You can take your bread, make sure it slides around on whatever you're using, and you're just going to slide it right into the pot, like so, and pop your lid back on. Place it in your 500-degree oven for 20 minutes to start, and then we're going to pull the lid off. We're going to let it go for another 40 to 50 minutes after that, just to make sure it's nice and cooked all the way through. So at 20 minutes, we'll check back up on the bread, and then we'll take the lid off, and then at 60 minutes, we're going to check the temperature of the bread by knocking on it to see if it's nice and hollow. Okay kids, so we're back at the oven station in the science kitchen, and we're just gonna take a check on our bread. It's been 20 minutes, so we're gonna get your parents to help you open the oven, and you're gonna have a little peek here. So we've got the bread in the pot. Bring it out of the oven really quick just so we can look at it. Once again, being very careful, we're gonna pop the lid off. Look at how big it is! Whoa! It's grown double in size. So now, we're just gonna pop it back into the oven, uncovered, for another 30 minutes. Just like that. See you in a bit, kids. Okay, kids, we are now finished using the oven station of the science kitchen, and our bread has come out. It has been a total of 1 hour, 20 minutes with the lid on, 40 minutes with the lid off. And your bread should look something like this. Doesn't that look tasty? So we've got nice brown crust. It's grown in size quite a bit. So now we just want to make sure it's done. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it out of the pot. I'm going to set you over here. Very carefully with your hot towels. And you want to grab the bread and just knock on the bottom. And if it sounds nice and hollow, like somebody knocking on a door, that's perfect. That means it's all done. So now we're going to let the bread rest. I really want to cut into this right now, but I cannot. We must let it rest. And then we'll enjoy later with our big feast.
Hey kids, guess what? It's day number 5.
My favorite day.
Your favorite day? Why?
Because we get to eat bread.
We get to eat the bread. I hope you guys are excited as we are because look at this beauty. I'm really excited to see how yours turned out. Maybe you could send some photos to Pastor Ashley so that we can see them. I would really like that.
We love seeing all the science experiments, and maybe even we can get some new advice and learn some new things from you guys about bread.
It's true, yeah. Let us know how it all went because I know I had fun and it was such a learning experience for me. Not only about learning how to bake bread and all the toppings, but also about how we have to nurture our relationship and our growth with God. And now I think, you know what, Mr. Giuliano? Anytime I eat jam or the hummus or butter, and especially sourdough bread, I'm going to be reminded that, oh right, have I been doing that? Have I been nurturing my relationship with God?
Right.
Well, how is my growth looking? So I'm just really excited.
Me too.
I think, we got
animal friend.
We got another assistant here.
Butter is his favorite topping.
Yeah. I think he smells the garlic butter and he's excited about it too.
Anyways, we're going to get into breaking the bread and sharing it with our family. But first, before we eat, we have to pray. So, Katie, would you lead us in grace before we eat?
I will. Just like we talked about, guys. Should I put my hand, Mr. Giuliano? God, we thank you so much for today. We thank you for this whole experience that we've been able to walk through this week together, with learning how to just nurture our growth and relationship with you. We thank you that you speak to each one of us, that you love each one of us, and that you care for each one of us so much. And we just pray for remembrance in everything that we learned this week, from the bread to the lessons, because you are always with us, and that's so important to remember. So I just pray as we eat this bread, we just bless the hands that have made each one of them. And we just thank you and praise you for everything. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, I'm excited.
So, you're going to want to get your adult assistant to grab a serrated kitchen knife, something with teeth in it so you can cut through this bread. Now it's going to be very crusty, so even adults, be careful. You might slip. So you just want to cut it right in half. Sounds nice. Sometimes you got to turn it up to get through the bottom.
Wow.
There we go. We got through the bottom, and now some people like to cut their bread into nice sandwich loaves or slices, and that's okay. But here at the Palmer House, we like to just rip our bread.
It's true.
I like it. It's the best way to eat it. So, Chef Giuliano's favorite topping, I must say, would be hummus. So I'm going to go for my favorite topping first and give that a try.
Oh, I'm excited to see if you like it. I'm excited for the bread. And mine would probably have to be the jam. Now, Mr. Giuliano, I did share with the kids that if they were more of a sweet tooth, doing a sugar cinnamon compound butter could also be a really good idea.
Very good idea.
Right? So if any of you did that, I'd love to know. But here we go with the jam. How was that, Mr.
So good.
Was it good?
I would like to hypothesize, which means to guess, that we've had a very successful experiment.
Ooh. Well, let's take a look at this jam. That tastes like jam. Blueberry jam. That's so good. Would you like some?
I'm okay. I'm going to have more breakfast later.
Okay.
So kids,
I'm going to continue eating it.
throughout this week we've learned so much. And I know it might seem like a lot, but once you learn this sourdough bread and you do it a couple times, this is a skill you could take through your whole life. It is very healthy for you and very delicious. But also, it reminds you every single day of you need to feed your walk with God, and you need to serve people and be a part of a community, and all the things that Katie's talked about in the lessons, they go hand in hand. So I hope that you guys have fun breaking bread with your families. Enjoy the rest of your loaves. Make sure to bake the second one as well.
And you know what you could do with the second one if you don't want to freeze it or keep it? You can give it to a friend or a neighbor or someone and break bread with them.
Yeah.
And then just keep continuing doing that, making bread.
So it's been so much fun experimenting with you guys in the science kitchen, and we hope that you guys had a really awesome week and it was successful and that your breads are fantastic. But even if they're not perfect, I'm sure they're going to be delicious.
And you know what? Practice makes perfect. So the more you do it, the more you try, the more it's going to get better. So we'd love to see and hear more about what you guys did, pictures or comments. Just let Pastor Ashley know and we'll get the message. But we hope you guys have had such a great week. We know we did, and we love sharing this time with you and growing with you.
Science Chef Mr. Giuliano, signing off.
Bye, kids! Oh my goodness, you guys. Day number 5. We're here. We were here. I ate the bread, and I ate the toppings. And you know what? It was great. It was so yummy, and it was so worth it. You know what I mean? The toppings tasted so much better with the bread, not just on their own, but with the bread. It's so cool. And so if you guys haven't had yours yet, I'm really excited for you because your taste buds are going to go on an amazing wild ride. And hopefully your second loaf of bread, if you don't eat it, then someone else's taste buds can go on that beautiful, yummy ride. But also, and I don't know if this is the same thing. I can ask Mr. Giuliano and we can get in touch with you. But sourdough pizza is a thing. And so I think it might just be about the shaping process. I don't know. But it's pretty yummy and it's exciting. And, you know, it's another thing you can do with your sourdough. So if you are interested in that, just get in touch with Ashley and we can work that out with you guys because sourdough is so great. And these starters, you don't just forget about them now. You can continue using them and being reminded of the lessons we've learned. But not only that, just to keep eating really good bread that's good for your tummy and your gut and having it in different ways so you're always eating sourdough. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly not interrupt your bread eating or whatnot, but just touch base with you and do a little recap of what we've learned this week, other than the yummy things that we ate. But we can recap those too. So day number 1, we made hummus and we fed our starter, just like how we feed ourselves and how we're nurturing ourselves with our normal Bible readings, and our prayers, and not that those are checkmark boxes, but those are foundational things we should be doing. But the first topping that we did with on that day was serving. And so the importance of serving is to show people that God is love and that He is king over everything and that He's there for them. But we do that by serving God, by serving them. So it's a whole cycle of where we become sacrificial with our time so that others can enjoy something, because serving can mean so many different things, whether you're mowing the lawn of your neighbor, or you're baking cookies for your grandma, or you're doing the dishes. I know I talk about dishes a lot. There's so many different ways to serve. So I really encourage you guys with that. And so we went over, and I'll just say the verses again if you want to read them. So we read Mark chapter 10, verse 45, and then Galatians 5:13. And then day 2, we talked about worship and the importance of worship when it comes to nurturing our relationship with God and all the different ways that we can worship. So there's the normal thing that we think of, the music, the singing, but then there's also things like dancing and praise to God and moments where we're just thanking Him. Like I said, when you get up and you just thank God for your goldfish or for your bed, and just list off a list of everything that you are thankful for before you get out of bed and eat your breakfast and stuff, because that will really help transform your heart for the day towards God and to have Him as number 1. And it's exciting. So the verses for that day was Psalms 100:2-3, and then Luke 4-8. And I'm sorry, but worship is just so great. So I I hope you guys are encouraged to worship in all the different ways throughout your whole day, because you can worship anywhere and anytime. Right now, God, I thank you for everyone who's tuning in and watching this and making bread, because it's pretty great, and He created all of you, and I'm thankful for that. So day number 3, what did we make? What did we learn? We did a build on our sourdough. Oh, and going back to day number 2, we made jam. It was very yummy. It was my favorite topping. And we did a feed on our sourdough starter. But going back into day 3, we built butter. We did a compound butter, which was the blending of butter and of something else. So I really hope some of you tried the cinnamon sugar. I didn't, but I'm going to, because that and the toast in the morning is just such a nice little pick-me-up. And something sweet. And then we did a build on our bread because we were going to be creating the dough the next day. But when we talked about compound butter and putting it together, that reminded me of community. So we talked about community and the importance of having community and having a spiritual community as Bethel or any other church community. Because we have multiple ones. Like I said, there's school, there's sports teams for me and other adults, there's work. But our spiritual communities are really important to help us stay firm in God, to help us be lifted up and encouraged, and just to be reminded that we need to be showing the fruit of the spirits and how we live in everything we do, and that having that fostering and nurturing in a community, reminding ourselves and each other that we're not meant to do this life alone. We're not meant to just be so sheltered and by ourselves. Even in our relationships with God, we have our own relationships with God, but we also have this community because we're one big happy family. Isn't that pretty cool? I think so. All right. So the verses for that day was 1 Thessalonians 5:13-15. And the second verse for that day was Hebrews 10:24-25. Okay. Now we're on to day 4. So what did we do on day 4? I think there was a lot of something being tested. A lot of patience being tested that day because we made the dough. And we not only made the dough, we had to wait so we could fold the dough and stretch and strengthen that gluten in it to then shape the dough and then wait one more sleep for it. And that day was the reminder of the togetherness of needing the toppings with the bread, and how in our life we need to serve, we need to worship, and we need to have community. And those things, yes, we can have without God, but that won't grow us, that won't nurture us. We need God to be our number one, our motivation behind it. He's the bread to the toppings. And it makes everything better. He makes everything better. And when we do these things for Him and have Him as our motivation, our joy, our everything is going to exude, and there are going to be people so touched by God because you were a faithful servant and you were nurturing your relationship and growth with God. And that's pretty cool to me. So our verses for that day, for day number 4, yesterday, is 1 Corinthians 15:58 and Colossians 3:23. And that brings us to here, to today. So I'm going to be saying goodbye soon, but it's not goodbye forever because I'm going to be seeing you at our community of Bethel. But I did want to just leave you guys with some questions and encouragement. So, just some simple questions. How can you serve your household today? How can you worship God in a new way that maybe not your normal way of worship? And who's in your community, and how can you impact them when they're not part of your Bethel community or a different church community? And how can you show God to them today? And those are my questions. And another really important question is, what was your favorite topping? And how did your bread turn out? So please, we want to see updates, photos, pictures, comments about how your bread turned out, how the toppings turned out, what was your favorite one, and any other thing. How'd you like this week? So just get in touch with Pastor Ashley and she can forward things on to us, or just if you see us in person, just let us know or show us if you have a photo with you. We've been loving, me and Mr. Giuliano, this whole week, the privilege and the honor to get to create things with you guys, to show you new ways or new thoughts and how to make bread, how to make toppings, and how to nurture your relationship with God, because it is so important to do that on a daily basis. So thank you so much. Party it up with your bread and your toppings, and just continue to do that. We'll see you guys later. Bye.